What up, B Squad? It is your boy JB, and we are here today, you guys, with a brand new season of Belair on Peacock. You guys, this is season three. This is episode number one, and this episode was titled Baby, I'm Back. Now, before we go ahead and get into it, if you guys are watching this video or any other video on the channel, and you guys aren't subscribed yet, then I need you guys to do me a solid favor and stop taking me out on this date and having me pay for it at the end of it. You guys know the routine. You can do me that favor by liking the video, subscribing to the channel, turning on your post notifications, you guys, and sharing the video. And with that out of the way, without further ado, let's go ahead and get into this episode of Bel Air, shall we? All right, you guys. So Bel Air is back. I did do one review last season and I kind of let it go, but I'm gonna stick with it this season because nothing else is on and I want to get back into my scripted bag. So I'm here for it, you guys. This episode opened up with Will and Lisa, right? So we see Will and Lisa, they are at the country club, getting a little hot and heavy with each other, right? So they still going strong with each other. And Will asked Lisa to go with him to Vegas. And Lisa's whole thing is, yeah, I can't go because she's doing her swim stuff and she's trying to qualify, right? So that she's trying to qualify, right? And so he left with her. And so we see him as he met this guy named Q. So Q asked him if he was, he was talking about seeing Will on the basketball court. And Will was like, you don't really want to see me on the court. So Will asked Q if he's still doing interviews for his summer program. And Q told him that he'll put his name on the list, right? So then we move over to Carlton. And you guys remember at the end of last season, Carlton had revealed that he was on drugs and it just went to hell from there. Remember that, right? So Carlton is in rehab. He is now 30 days sober. And we see Hillary. Hillary is on a private jet with Lamarcus. So, they jet setting around the world. Then we see Aunt Viv and Uncle Phil. So Aunt Viv and Uncle Phil are doing a photo shoot and an interview for Essence Magazine. And it's about power couples, right? And then we see Ashley. Ashley is upstairs watching her mom and her dad. And her little friend that she's with, she's like, your family is just perfect, right? And Ashley's like, that's what they'll make it seem. And her friend was like, what do you mean by that? And Ashley didn't elaborate. So then we move back over to Carlton in rehab. So Carlton has this young girl who comes into his room. Her name is Amira. And, Carlton is, she brought Carlton a painting. And he was like, yeah, I don't even know what I was painting when I did this shit, right? And she was telling him, you see pain right here, you see this right here, you see pent up sexual energy right here. And so she started to make, they started to kiss each other, right? And as he and Amira were about to get a little hot and heavy, Will knocks on the door. So Will comes in, Aunt Viv and Uncle Phil came in, right? And so Amira had hid. And so Will went and got Carlton's things and he saw Amira in the bathroom and she waved at him, right? And so Will was like, man, you got a lot to catch up on, right? So then we see as the family, they're at home, they got all of Carlton's favorite foods, and they're celebrating the fact that Carlton is home from rehab, right? Hillary's there, Aunt Viv, Uncle Phil, Ashley, and Will. And actually, it was Will who set up this for Carlton. What I will say is from season one to season two, I love the dynamic and the relationship with Will and Carlton. I love how their relationship, it started out that Carlton hated Will. And I love where their relationship is now. They are essentially brothers. I love it. I really truly do. Let me know what you guys think, you guys, in the comments section below. Because like I said, I've loved watching the dynamic between those two over the last now 3 seasons. But yeah. So on Carlton noticed that at the house on the wine cellar there was a pad on there where because the wine cellar is locked, and he was like, "Wow, a lock on the cellar." And so Uncle Phil was like, "Yeah, the therapist suggested that maybe we should do that." And I was like, "Okay." it does make logical sense, right? Because if you're someone who has an addiction issue, then you don't want them to get into something else that could be something that they can get addicted to, right? If you drugs, alcohol, sex, anything, right? So I get it, right? Now you can't keep people from doing that, but when it comes to like alcohol and stuff like that and drugs, those two things kind of sometimes go hand in hand. If a person can get a hold to the drugs that they like to use, then they sometimes you know manifest that over into alcoholism. So I got it, right? But at then they we see them as a sit down, right? So everybody's catching up on what's going on. Hillary was talking about how she and Lamarcus they've been traveling. Will was talking about what's going on with him. Uncle Phil and Aunt Viv, they're working out of the same office space with each other. Ashley, however, wasn't really feeling the conversation with her family. And so Aunt Viv is telling the kids that, what she wants to do with them is for them to have a family dinner every twice a week, right? And they were like, "Ah." So then Ashley, she just said, "F it," right? Ashley asked Carlton, "So did you learn anything from rehab?" And he said, "Yes, he did." She said, "So what did you learn?" I was like, "Well, damn, Ashley, you ain't holding back, are you?" Like, and I'm cool with it. I'm cool with it, right? But he told her the thing that he really learned was that he told her the thing that he learned was that not to things that you are dealing with that are affecting you, let it out so that way you can heal. And I was like, okay, cool, Carlson, so you actually did learn something from rehab. So then we see Hillary and Carlton, they're in his room, and Hillary gave him a gift that she got when she and Lamarcus they went on their trip around, they went on their trip, right? So what she also said was she apologized to him for not being there for him, because I mean, knowing what he was going through, they knew that he was. I mean, they already knew that he was dependent on dealing with drugs. They just didn't know to she didn't know to the extent that it was, right. And so she apologizes to him. And Carlton told her, "You don't have to apologize to me." But he then did ask her to look out for Ashley, right? So then we see Uncle Phil and Aunt Viv. So they're in their room, and Uncle Phil is kind of, feeling a way about them having the lock on the cellar. And Aunt Viv is like, and she was telling him like, I'm usually the one that's soft, and now it's you, right? But Viv think it's good for them to do this, and I'm like, okay. I mean, I don't. Again, I agree with it. I actually do agree with it. But like I said, you guys, tell me what you guys think and feel in a comment section, because I 100% I do agree with it. I think that it makes sense for them to do this because, like I said, you can go from one vice to the next vice, and I agree with it. Let me know your comments, your thoughts, your opinions in the comment section, you guys. Next up, we will move on. And so what happened next is, Aunt Viv and Uncle Phil. So Uncle Phil was giving Aunt Viv a massage, and she's like, "Oh, that feels so good." So Uncle Phil was ready to get it pop pop popping, right? And Aunt Viv was like, "Not tonight, Philip, we can't do it." And he was like, "We haven't done it since Carlton went to rehab, and that's now been 30 days." And I was like, "Oh, y'all ain't done the do in 30 days? Damn, 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 damn." Oh, you guys, did you guys know that Uncle Phil and the woman that plays Noma on Power are married? Like, I had no idea. I had no idea that they were married. But yeah, those two are in a real life couple. So they decided that after, so I forgot to mention that they're going to be having a big, huge Juneteenth celebration, right? So after the party, Uncle Phil and Aunt Bev are like, you know what? Once this is said and done, then we can get back to us. And if whatever we want to do, if it can be clothing option. I was like, oh, I would like to see that. That is something that I would like to see. So after that, we move on. And so Will and Carlton, so they are talking, right? They went out. And so Will was asking Carlton, like, who was old girl? And he told her name is Amira. And they hit it off at rehab, right? So then Carlton asked Will, how are he and Lisa? And, Will let him know that, he and Lisa are good. They've been hanging out at the country club. And Carlton, like, you? Country club? He was like, yeah, that's my spot. So then Will also was telling Carlton about Q, and Carlton told him about the interview that he has lined up with Princeton, right? So they're out getting something to eat, and so their number got called, and so Will went up there to go get the food, and when he went to go get the food, who was there? Lou was there, and I was like, wait a minute, but I had saw Lou in the trailer. I was like, oh, not Lou back this season, not after that disastrous meeting that him and Will had last season when they were about to get into a fisticuffs with each other. But Lou ended up not Lou, Will ended up leaving, right? So then we see Uncle Phil. So Uncle Phil is giving Carlton a drug test, right? And so Uncle Phil is telling Carlton how it's so good to have him back because he's been battling with his sister and Aunt Viv for boxing over housewives. And Carlton said, "Don't He said, "Don't sleep on Potomac because the Grand Dame is everything." And I was like, "Oh, come on, Karen! Y'all know how I feel about Karen. Y'all know how I feel about Karen. I love me some Karen. That is my girl." So Uncle Phil did tell Carlton how proud of him he is, although he is giving him a drug test, but nonetheless, he's still proud of him, right? So we see Will. So Will and Lisa, they're outside. Actually, no, scratch that. We see as Uncle Phil them are talking, right? So we find out that Lou never ever left LA. He's been renting a place. This is coming from Jeffrey. Lou has been renting a place, right? And he's been operating out of a barbershop. So Uncle Phil told Will that if Lou reaches out to you to let them know, right? And Will told him that they don't have nothing to worry about when it comes to that, right? So we move over to Hillary. Hillary is back at the influencer house, and Ivy is letting her know that two of the girls who were previously at the influencer house, they left while Hillary spent her time this summer. Well, no, not this. She spent her time previously with Lamarcus, right? So, Hillary's talking about all the things that she's done with Lamarcus while they were on their trip, how he's introduced her to certain things. And so she's gotten more influencer deals, right? So congratulations to Hillary. Now, Ivy is looking at Hillary like, Hillary, girl, I think you hiding something from me. And I think what Ivy was hinting at is what I was thinking too. I was like, Hillary, girl, are you pregnant by Lamarcus? But we'll get to that as we get to it, right? But Hillary is telling her that, she's more in love now than ever. I was like, really, Hillary? Because me personally, I thought last season that Lamarcus was just a consolation prize for Jazz. Let me know your thoughts and your opinions in the comments below, you guys. Next up, we see Uncle Phil. So Uncle Phil and Jeffrey, they are going over the security, right? So Jeffrey tells Uncle Phil that he feels like they should beef up the security. And so Uncle Phil asked him, well, the whole situation with his son, Frederick, he says, well, have you got any more photos? And so Jeffrey says, no. So Uncle Phil wonders, well, is all of this stuff really truly necessary? And Jeffrey tells him that he can't relax, right? Because for someone to have spotted him and Frederick together, that means that someone knows where he is, and until he knows who knows where he is, he can't relax. And I was like, okay, Jeffrey, I guess I get it. So Uncle Phil told Jeffrey, you know what? Do what you got to do. So then we see Carlton. So Carlton is getting ready for his meeting with Princeton. So Aunt Viv came into the room and let him know that the meeting, unfortunately, was canceled. And, the meeting was canceled because the person who was backing Carlton has pulled out. And the fact that you revealed that you are a big drug head, it didn't help it. So people are probably reluctant to want to deal with Carlton and want to work with Carlton. And unfortunately, Carlton, I absolutely understand it. Do I hate it? Yeah. I hate that people are, judging him because of it. Like I don't like when anybody does that because we all have a past. We all have a past. It's what you do with your future that should be the determining factor. And actually, that's going to come up a little bit later in the episode, but we'll talk about it once we get to that point, right? So after that, Carlton was so down on himself. I was like, "Ooh, Carlton, as long as you don't do anything stupid, like don't dig," because he went by the wine cellar. I was like, "Ooh, Carlton, please don't, Carlton, please don't do it, Carlton." I was just like, "Don't do it, don't do it," and he didn't. But he did. He was down on himself, right? So we move over to Will. So Will is still working with Doc, and Doc, I still just it's something about Doc that I still just don't see it for 100%. Like I ain't gonna, I just don't see it for Doc. Doc, he gives me the ick vibe a little bit, but you guys tell me your thoughts and your opinions in the comments about that, and we will go ahead on and move on, you guys. So Will was practicing with Doc for his tournament in Vegas, right? But Will was so flustered that he was messing up because he obviously has Lou on the brain, right? So Doc told him to leave. So Will left to go to his interview. Unfortunately, Will was late for his interview, and so he was telling Q like, "Yo, my coach, practice ran late." And Q was like, "Oh, so that's what's more important to you. So better luck next time, right?" Because he was like, there were other kids who came on time with great businesses, and so you lost your chance, right? And that was that. So then after that, we see Carlton. So this is where Carlton was in his room, upset about his interview. He texts Amira telling her that this shit is hard, and she texts him back saying it takes time. So Will went up to Carlton's room, and he's telling Carlton how sorry he is about Princeton, and he was trying to be there and help Carlton, but Carlton was like, "Will, stop! Like, stop trying to fix me and worry about the shit that you got going. Like, you're not even talking about the fact that you just saw your dad, and you are basically just, in a nutshell, brushing that to the side." And he absolutely was right. He told Will, like, if you learn anything from me, learn not to bury down your problems. I was like, okay, Carlton, I'm here for it. So then we see Will. So he was talking to Lisa about Carlton, and Lisa's once again saying kind of the same thing that Hillary was saying earlier when she was apologizing to him, right? And so she told Will that both you and Carlton each have your own journey, and I agree with that, right? But then we see that Will and Lisa are outside of the barbershop. I was like, ooh, so he's gonna go in here and see Lou. Good luck with that. So he went in there with Lou. He asked Lou like you've been here for so long, you never said shit to me, right? So Lou was like he needed to get settled first, and Will was like, well, you look pretty settled to me. And so Lou was like, after the whole interaction the last time that we had, he wanted to get himself right. And I was like, okay, because you definitely came in hot and you were wrong, right? So Lou let Will know he's been watching him play, and he also showed Will that he used to play basketball, right? And so Will is talking about how, at this point, he has bigger dreams outside of basketball. And Lou starts laughing. He's like, what the fuck you laughing at? And so Lou was talking about him taking handouts. He hoped that his son would take no handouts from, Uncle Phil and Aunt Viv. And it's like, it's not handouts. Yeah, they rich, but it's not a handout. We're family. And I got Will getting upset with Lou about him laughing at him about wanting to do more than just basketball. But I also understood Lou, and I'll explain it once we get to the end of the episode because Uncle Phil explained it just the way that I felt too. So after that, we get to the party. So Carlton apologized to Ashley, but he also thanked Ashley for, you know, helping him to get clean. And so he once again, like I said, he apologized to her, and she ran up and hugged her brother, and so I guess he forgave her, right? So both Will and Carlton they apologized to each other for what happened earlier with them, Carlton let Will know that Q is there, right? And he said, maybe I can work some of my Carlton magic on him. And Will was like, nah, you don't have to do that, right? But Carlton got a text message from Amira, and Amira showed up. So Carlton went down to get Amira, and he introduced Amira to Aunt Viv, and Uncle Phil, right? Aunt Viv, however, is not really 100% feeling Amira, and I get where she's coming from, especially when she found out that they met each other in rehab. It's like two addicts hanging out with each other. That's not a good sign, right? So then Jazz and his new little girlfriend, I guess, showed up, and Ivy was like, Hillary, do you see who I see?" She was like, "I see Ivy. Do you see him with who I see him with?" She's like, "I see everything, Ivy." So Amira went up to meet Aunt Viv, and this is where Aunt Viv found out that Amira is a repeat offender. And I was like, "Ooh, girl, that ain't something you want to say to your quote unquote friend's mom, who her son just got out of rehab, and you say, 'Hi, my name is Amira. I'm a repeat offender.' Girl, that wasn't the one nor the two to say." But okay, yikes, Amira. Yikes, yikes, yikes. Now, after that, Aunt Viv basically told Amira, like, you need to focus on your sobriety. My bad, y'all. I choked out of nowhere. But yeah, Aunt Viv was basically telling Amira, you deal with your sobriety, let Carlton deal with his, right? So we see Carlton. So Carlton, he went up to Q and basically advocated for Will. And I was like, come on, Carlton. I love it. Now, we see Jeffrey. Jeffrey is, sneaking around a little bit. And I'm like, Jeffrey, what you got going on? Only to find out Freddie's back. I was like, oh, okay, Jeffrey. So this is why you wanted to beef up the security. Cool. So then we see Hillary. Hillary went to go apologize to Jazz, and he told her, "Nah, you cool." And so he read into Hillary, calling Hillary a coward, saying Hillary ran away from college, she ran away from this, she ran away from them. Excuse me, and it's only a matter of time before she ran away from that nigga. I was like, well, god damn. So Hillary was like, oh, okay, Jazz, I got your penny, nickel, and dime, ho. So Hillary got on the microphone and let everybody know that she and Lamarcus are engaged. I cracked up at Ashley when she said, for what it's worth, I was rooting for you. I laughed at that. So after the party is over, now mind you, this is a Juneteenth party. I don't know if I said that earlier or not. So after the party was over, Q went up to Will and Carlton and he told them how impressed he is with both of them, right? He told them, if both of you guys team up together, there's a spot available for both of you. They said, hell yeah. So then we see Carlton. So Carlton went to go talk to Aunt Viv about her conversation with Amira. And he said, why didn't you come and ask me? And Aunt Viv said that she's struggling with everything that comes out of his mouth because she knew that bullshit was coming out of his mouth, but she made excuses for it. So at this point, she's just telling Lynn Carlton, know, like, I'm having a hard time trusting you. And I can't really say that I blame Aunt Viv, right? So then after that, we see Jeffrey. So Jeffrey is talking to Will and let Will know that he went to see Lou after him. He said that Lou wanted him to have some things, right? And Jeffrey told him, you don't have to do anything with it until you're ready. So Uncle Phil came into the room to check on Will, and Will said that, he didn't say anything to Uncle Phil because, Uncle Phil has a lot going on with Carlton. So Uncle Phil said to Will, like, we're family and I'm here for you, right? So they went through some of the things. So, it was all of Lou's basketball memorabilia, like his trophies and his awards, and they played the same position, right? So Will told Uncle Phil about what happened with him and Lou, and Uncle Phil told Will how proud of him he is, right? And so this is where I said I understood why Lou laughed. I don't think he was laughing at Will. I think the thing was that Lou comes from a different time period where young black boys from the hood and all that kind of stuff, the only way you could get out of that life was either to go into the pros, football, basketball, track and field, music industry, things of that nature. It wasn't a, it wasn't a big thing of going to college and becoming a doctor, a lawyer. So most people knew that if you were good at basketball, football, and things of that nature, or good with music, that was your 9 times out of 10, that was your way out and for a better life for you and your family. And that's what Uncle Phil said to Will. And I got that point, and that's why I didn't take too much offense like Will did. So, but I love the fact that Uncle Phil poured into Will, let him know like whatever you want to do, you we will support you, right? So then we see as Will was getting ready to go to Vegas with Doc and his team, but Will decided not to go to Vegas. So he's going to spend his entire summer there with Carlton. So Carlton's like, so we are really going to start a business. He was like, do you have any ideas? Will said, I have a million, and that was where the episode ended, you guys. So episode 1 of Bel Air, great episode. Enjoyed it. I did not know that they put up 3 episodes at one time, but yeah, we'll be back for episode 2. But all right, you guys. So I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this up. Be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn your post notifications on. Share the video, you guys. And until the next time, stay safe, take care of yourselves, wash your hands, be blessed, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye, y'all.